Hello everybody, we are in for a treat because the Roblox Pressure developers just dropped the update trailer for the next update, and what I can tell you after watching it several times is that this is scaling up to be the most exciting update out of anything we've ever seen, with the most content, the most collaborations, the most entities, and the most changes to the core gameplay loop. We are going to get into everything in this video, and I'm going to show you everything that you may have already seen and many things that you may have missed. Let's get straight into it. The update trailer we're going to be analyzing was released March 23rd, 2026, which was yesterday as of the posting of this video. The update itself is called Half a Slice of Cake, which symbolizes the development and update process. If you recall, the Pressure developers chose to release only half of the upcoming content rather than all of it at once, so that way they could bring us more content sooner rather than keeping us waiting, which I still really appreciate. And plus, if you look at these almost 2 minutes of absolute cinema, or should I say, absolute pressure, it definitely looks like that was a great choice on their part. Starting at the very beginning of the trailer, we can already notice a ton of stuff that can be talked about. If you look carefully, you'll already see that there's a bunch of people in this game holding their own items of their own skins, whether it be flashlights or flash beacons or anything else. All the skins look amazing, and these are skins that have been previously teased by the Pressure developers. They all look amazing actually in the game. If you look carefully as well at the flashlight that the player is holding, you'll see that it is a fully upgraded version of the flashlight. If you did not know, the Pressure developers were working on upgrading every single item that is currently usable, such as med kits, sprints, flash beacons, code breachers, flashlights themselves. Everything would have some way to be upgraded in an upgrade terminal that was teased. And the fact that we are seeing the upgraded flashlights right in this trailer does mean that we might be seeing that in this upcoming update. Aside from that, if you look at the flashlight, it is very briefly moved, almost like it's being shaken like the gummy lights do, which could imply that you will be able to recharge it like a gummy light. Along with this, you'll notice that the Sebastian cat photo is hanging from the flashlight as if it's a charm, which I think that's exactly what it is. This is probably one of the over 200 charms that's about to be released in the game, which is coming in this update as well, which is very exciting. If you look as well, this is door 100, which is meaning that they're in a starting dock of some kind. But if you look carefully, this doesn't look like any of the starting docks we actually have. This could mean we're getting another starting dock of some kind, or multiple starting docks, which is also very exciting. Aside from that, the last thing I'll comment on in this section is obviously the very exciting door kicking down part. This is definitely going to be some sort of modifier where doors cannot be opened quickly or easily. You'll have to kick them down almost like the way you do in Grace or Doors, which is really funny, especially with the way it's emphasized in this trailer. The next part of the trailer shows the player walking in what looks to be a completely new room type. If you've been paying attention to the teasers that the Roblox Pressure developers have been releasing, you'll know that this room type was actually already teased. I talked about it in my previous videos, stating that it was some sort of casino room type, and honestly that might still be what it is. However, some other people have said, and honestly I agree with them, that this is going to be instead some sort of resting place room type, or maybe a dorm sort of thing for the urban shade workers to stay in, and this probably is what it is. But regardless of what the room type is, the fact that it's being shown in so many parts of this trailer tells us that it's almost definitely going to be released with this coming update, which is very exciting. We see it in many parts on screen, including the Sea Bunny computer when the wall dweller was being teased, the new admin gun while Joey was on screen, but honestly, I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. We'll talk about that later. The point is, this room type is coming very soon. The next part that we see is the landmine in the drawer, which honestly is very clearly going to be some sort of modifier that discourages looting and makes sure that you're a lot more careful. And the other thing that could be a modifier, notice how it was an AoE explosion and all the players near the landmine were all killed, not just the person who activated it, which is really funny. That's a funny way to make 50-player lobbies more fun, so that's going to be pretty exciting when it's released. Also, the Sea Bunny computer. This was a part that I think is going to be connected in some way to the room type that we just discussed. This is so adorable and it's going to be very exciting. Notice on this screen it has a Navi icon, which could imply that this computer will be usable by the player in some way. This could also be a way to possibly access the previously discussed upgrade terminal, which will become very useful if that's the case. Also, the painter pop-ups from 3 Nights at the Black site are being shown on the screen here with different pictures and different memes. It's pretty obvious what those are meant to represent. Those are going to be pretty chaotic mixed with everything else on screen. And there's also a hand entity guy that shows up in front of the door. I really don't know who this guy is despite a lot of research. If you know who he is, please comment down below because I genuinely don't know. He kind of sounds like Bill Cipher to me. I saw some comments who actually also agreed with me in the trailer, so let me know if you think this is the case. or if you know who this guy is. Quick pause. If you're liking this content so far, you might want to subscribe because I have a lot of content coming very soon for this update and past updates. Guides, ranking videos, discussion videos, everything you'd want to see. I would love to see you around. In the next segment of the trailer, we're seeing a lot of content that's probably going to be exclusive to the modifiers part of this game, along with a lot of other very goofy and exciting stuff. The first thing that we're seeing is what seems to be a replacement version of the menu that we would see to switch items when we press Q, except it's red and it has a nollie symbol in the middle. It has a bunch of different icons on it too, such as a purple flashlight, which I assume to be a black light, a lantern icon, a flash beacon icon, and also a beacon gun icon, which seems to be instead the new admin gun. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, the developers of Roblox Pressure already released some teasers about an upcoming new item called the beacon gun, which if you saw the videos teasing what its functionality would be, it seemed to be a really exciting new item that would eventually come to the game. And I'm noticing though that the icon that was used in that teaser for the beacon gun is instead being used for this admin gun, which could mean that perhaps it's being replaced, or maybe the concept was changed, or maybe the beacon gun is coming later. I don't know. Either way, we're seeing this gun that honestly is basically like a Gmod gun in many points of this trailer as well, including when we shoot Sebastian with bricks, creating lava which people are getting hit by, knockback explosions, spawning flaming barrels, barricades, and everything else that we see. The other part of this shows that there's a Necrobloxicon cube floating in the middle of the room. There's a bunch of people dead and there's a laughing sound effect on the screen. This is a very interesting part because this could imply many things. Notice real quick how the Necrobloxicon pages are empty, which actually is not what the normal Necrobloxicon looks like. Also notice how the cube flew into place in the middle. It's almost like the players were sacrifices made to it. Or maybe they died because they didn't have a Necrobloxicon on them. Who knows what that could be. Although this next part is probably the most exciting part of this trailer. Look at this Chainsmoker-Pandemonium amalgamation. What is this? This completely changes the meaning of Expendable at door 30. This probably means that we're going to be getting many different versions of Pandemonium in the modifiers that we're going to be seeing, including this Chainemonium, as I like to call it, and maybe even a pinky version, maybe an A60 version. Who knows? This is already a really good start. Although the parts after it shows us a turret mayhem with a lot of red stuff and a lot of people getting hit by those turrets. This is going to be really fun because the turrets are being shown in many ways. We even see them later in the trailer actually attached to the walls, which is going to be very hectic, especially when there's like as many turrets as we're seeing in this part of the trailer. Other things we're seeing is the glued drawer, which is going to be a modifier of its own, and then a modified version of the sprint, or at least that's what it looks like to me, when you use it and then you and everyone else slides down the slope. That looks very, very funny. And then the last part of this segment is the new wall dweller. We're seeing it in the new room type, as mentioned before. As you look behind to see what sound you were hearing, instead of actually seeing the wall dweller, the new horrific design, it's hiding behind its wall panels. That is horrific, especially look at how big it is. This is going to make it a lot scarier, and you're going to need to look behind you every single room just to avoid this thing. Immediately after that previous scene, we are thrown into imaginary friend craziness. If you see, the player is being surrounded by red and blue imaginary friends, something like 50, maybe even 100 of them. It's crazy. This could mean many things. It's very funny, but if you look into it, it actually does mean more than you might realize. This could be some sort of modifier. Maybe you start the run with a bunch of red and blue imaginary friends already talking in your ear. Maybe you get some sort of buff the more toy remotes you activate. Maybe the toy remote spawn rate is increased, anything like that. But this could be a hint as to one of our upcoming modifiers. The next part shows lava shooting out of the admin gun and all the players drowning in it, which is obviously something we previously mentioned. However, this is actually something that deserves an extra mention because there's another part you may not have noticed. If you look carefully, there's a warning sign next to the lava. It's a bit hard to read the text that's actually on it, but the photo says it all. There's a player drowning in lava. This has to mean that there's a lava hazard nearby, and if you have played in Mantle Extraction, that room type, a lot, you'll know that you can't actually like fall in the lava. There is the brief segment where you could accidentally run over it in the beginning, but that's it. This could mean that this is an extension of Mantle Extraction. Maybe it's a new room type, anything like that. Either way, this is worth mentioning. The next part shows Pink Eyefestation, the admin exclusive Eyefest from plush mode. I am so happy to see this, because I don't know if I'm the only one who completely missed plush mode, but I was really sad when I could not see Pink Eyefestation. So this could be my and many other people's first opportunity to see Pink Eyefestation. If you didn't know, the Pink Eyefest is an incredibly strong version of the outraged purple Eyefestation. It's almost impossible to avoid looking at Eyefestation in this mode, so it's going to be pretty fun to see how this will measure up with other modifiers. The next part shows Witching Hour. There's a brief segment where the player is looking at a door with a glitched screen of the number instead of its question marks, which, if you know, is actually a modifier of its own, as we've discussed in previous videos. But when the player looks behind them, they see Witching Hour for a very brief moment, and then it completely disappears. I don't know about you, but this does not look like a 3 AM Witching Hour. This looks like a different version of Witching Hour, maybe also another modifier where Witching Hour is constantly chasing you. Who knows what this could be? The next part is stream integration. You guys, we're gonna have so much fun with this. I'm gonna hop on this immediately. Notice the specific ways that you can mess with a person who's streaming: temporary god mode, summon pandemonium, lots of money. There's even a question mark option that could mean so many things, but this is gonna be hilarious. And then, by extension, there's also an admin panel, which, if you were looking at the announcement that Zeal posted, this is going to be the replacement Game Pass for the 50-player Game Pass, which, if you already have that Game Pass, you'll be getting this one for free. So this is going to be another very fun way to have fun with streaming. We're going to be all over that, so make sure to subscribe if you would like to be a part of something like that. This next part of the trailer is, in my opinion, the most exciting part of this trailer. We get to see basically every single new entity that's going to be added with the modifiers. It's going to be so amazing. Let's just get straight into it. The first entity we see is Joey the Doombringer, which obviously is from Grace. This is going to be basically what I see as the replacement for plush mode that kind of gets to show itself in a cool way through the Grace collaboration, because as you know, Joey gets shut up in the same way that the plush does in plush mode. So this could be our way of getting it replaced. The next part shows us a jester figure floating masks around us, along with a clock slowly ticking down, with a ghastly figure ominously saying 3, 2, 1. This is a reference actually to the characters Conundrum and the Overseer, which are specifically from the Conundrums challenge game by Draggy on Roblox. The Jester is basically a fortune-telling animatronic from that game, and it's getting to show itself here. In this trailer, it looks like we're supposed to choose the correct mask in time in order to avoid being killed, and although with the Overseer it's a little bit unclear as to what we're supposed to do, very clearly we're supposed to do something before the countdown ends, or else we're going to be dead. And honestly, I love the design of this. This is going to be very enticing. This is also where the fully upgraded sprint is being used. As you can see, the player uses it and uses it to somehow dodge all of the turrets. I don't know how that happened, but that's very exciting. The next part shows one of the many Sebastian animations that are being added to the game. These also were being teased briefly, but these are the most fleshed out versions of the modified animations of Sebastian that we have seen so far. So we don't know what all these are going to be for. Obviously, some of these are going to be death animations. Maybe these are going to be partly the document animations. Either way, it's very exciting. Next, we see what looks to be Skinwalker from Nullscape. This is so cool to see, because I, if you couldn't tell, also really love Nullscape. So to see many references to that game is very enticing. And then obviously references to Grace too. We see briefly Carnation and Dozer in this, which is so exciting. We also see A200, which honestly is crazy to me that we finally get like a true version of a Rooms entity in Pressure itself through modifiers. Oh my goodness, it's probably going to be very similar to A60 in the way you hide in a locker, just like it is in Rooms, but either way, so exciting. And then the last entity I could discuss here is the guy who's ripping into the screen with eyes on his head. I, again, really don't know what this character is, but it's almost like he's creating a rift. This could be a jump scare, or maybe this is a brief moment where you have to have an interaction on screen to prevent death, but either way, very cool. We're now getting into the last part of this trailer, which is, it has a different theme from the rest of the trailer. The trailer so far has been very goofy. It's had a lot of excitement, all the entities on screen, but this part shows a voice line of Sebastian walking very slowly through a dim version of the black site. It's a very different tone, which honestly goes to show that this is something that we should not ignore. This is going to be lore heavy. This is going to be some sort of big reveal. It's going to be something. So as we can tell, Sebastian is saying, could you really be in this facility? It's unsure who this is. This could be maybe Mr. Lopi. This is Shade, although she's dead. Maybe she's back in some way. Maybe this could be Painter in some form. Who knows? I don't know if anyone has any speculation about that, but this is very clearly a teaser to something big. As we can see as well, the scared sea bunny is shown on screen. This is not a good omen, because honestly the fact that the sea bunny is scared, that's really not good. They're scared for a good reason. But come on, notice how cutely it loafs, man. It's just like a cat, man. It's so cute. But the other thing that Sebastian says, he says eerie, which I assume is the word eerie. But could this also be a name? There's a chance this was a name. Who knows? We're not going to know until the update comes out. The last thing I want to point out about this brief segment is the lighting. Notice how the lighting is almost slightly blue? This is very different from the original black site lighting, which is normally white or a different color entirely. The emergency lights are normally red, and obviously this isn't an emergency light scene. This reminds me of two things. The first is the emergency light lighting in the exclusive Doors rare room type, or it's also very similar to the Silent Hill lighting in that rare room type that is very commonly seen in Endless, which I got actually in my Endless 500 run. It could be a reference to Silent Hill in that way, which could also speak to this being a collaboration of some kind, maybe that's who's in the facility, but as of now, all we can do is speculate. What do you guys think this is? And that officially brings us to the end of the trailer. We're left with our release date, which is Saturday, March 28th, which is so soon, by the way. I can't believe how soon that is. So we're going to be so excited to cover that on this channel. The moment the update drops, you're going to be live streaming, exploring the modifiers, having crazy lobbies with you guys, playing with viewers. It's going to be amazing. So be sure to subscribe if you'd like to be there for that. And aside from that, keep an eye out for future videos. Watch my previous guides I've posted while we wait. And for now, I will see you around. Live well and have a great day.